Present.
All right. Call this meeting to order. Can I have a roll call?
Roll call. Rachel.
Yes.
Troy.
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes. All right. We had a special meeting in July that we need to approve the minutes. So if you will look at the July 29th minutes, they are, do you need one?
Right down there.
Okay, you have them. Okay.
I can't approve minutes.
I believe that I was not at that meeting. I think Troy ran that meeting, so I do see that as a, maybe I need to be out of that lineup.
I make a motion to accept the July meeting minutes as changed,
Second.
corrected.
Roll call. Rachel.
Yes.
Troy.
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes. Okay, now we have approval of August minutes.
Do we have those?
I thought that said June and July. Did I read that wrong?
Did I say it wrong?
Oh, no, there's one that said there's special, well, there's a July 15th and
Is
there's
this-
July 29th.
Just you not change the date at the top?
At the top, maybe not.
Okay, so this is August?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it should say August up at the top.
Okay.
August
19.
August 19th.
Okay.
Chad and Lita.
Second.
Roll call. Rachel.
Yes.
Troy. Greg.
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes. All right, discussion and national financial statement.
You should have provided a copy of your financial statement today.
It was kind of late today, so they may not chance
We've
to
had
read
a
them.
bunch of stuff going on at the office over the past week or so, and my staff just realized that they didn't send that out.
Well, when she sent it to me, I didn't directly send it out because I wasn't at my computer, so it took me a little bit, so I apologize.
Looks like we had cash in the bank at the end of August, August 31, of $426,677. We had 2 CDs invested at $402,920,000 is our cash and CDs position. At the end of August, we had collected $113,283. We had actually expended $138,592, and we've got $31,643 encumbered for us. That meaning that we have contracted to have work done, but have not yet paid them. If you look further back, you'll see what each one of those, what was expended out of each category, and who the expenditures were to, and who the encumbrances, what encumbrances we have out there right now.
What kind of repairs were done to the fire alarm system?
The fire alarm system was actually brought back into work, operational, brought back into operation. The company that had been working on it off and on was unable to repair it, so we contracted with another company.
Had to get a whole new panel system there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for quite a while, we had to, if there was anybody in the building, there had to be somebody here on fire watch. Because the sprinkler system was not the alarm system was not operational. So now it is, so that's
Good.
not required.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Panel was just really,
I was gonna say, okay.
not real old, but
I have a question.
Sure.
Western Equipment,
Mhm.
capital outlay, 29,300.
Tractor.
Okay, but at our meeting, it says 2630.
that was for the tractor. The mower number is not on there. The
Additional
book.
3,000, okay. Just thought one of these
Well-
was wrong.
Actually, what
It says tractor and brush.
tractor and brush mower, yeah, the tractor and then the brush mower was like, what is an additional three? What's that, say 29?
29,300, and it says 2630.
But see, this was, okay, here's what happened.
And the tractor actually came in less than.
Came in less than that. So what they did is they actually got this check back and they're actually going to resubmit a check. Because it came in at this with the brush mower being 17, 15. So an additional 15 to this. They paid that, but what happened is we got a smaller brush mower because the bigger brush mower, the tractor didn't have enough horsepower to do it. So they paid this, we got this check back. So you'll see another, in the financials, you'll see another
Yeah,
payment
not
number.
paid the tractor yet.
Yeah, it's a,
So we submitted a check by mistake. We called and said, hey, we want our money back. That money will be credited back to the line item, and then we will reissue a correct check.
Okay, so but the tractor we bought is too much, is not enough horsepower for the mower we had.
we bought a mower also. And what we ordered, it was kind of Jennifer and I's mistake. We ordered a brush mower thinking that the tractor would be able to run
And
it.
the reason I question that is when I remember on the proposal, the tractor carried in with a higher horsepower than the one we bought.
Yes.
And I called Steve Hiller and I asked him, I said, I'm fixing for this meeting to approve this, is that enough tractor for the mower? And he said, yes, it was.
It didn't end up being, because once they got it all in, Jennifer called me, she's like, hey, we're gonna have a problem with this. And I said, what? And she said, well, she said, it's not gonna be,
I questioned him on it, he told me it was fine.
yeah, no, it wasn't, so we had to go with a little bit smaller one. So, yeah, and I didn't know that till they got it in, excuse
We
me?
bought a smaller tractor.
No, we bought a smaller
Smaller.
brush mower.
Bought a smaller tractor to start with, and had to buy a smaller mower to go.
Yeah.
To fit the tractor.
Yeah,
And we should have gone with the tractor.
we should have got a larger
Yeah.
tractor, yeah.
Should have really could. Is that too late?
Is it too late? I don't know, ask him.
Have we accepted the tractor?
I mean, I'm not.
That's a question for Courtney, because I don't know.
I'm not against.
Well, we have it. I mean, we have the tractor.
I agree with you. If you ask about it, we came to the meeting.
And he said, yes, they should let us upgrade the tractor.
To run it. So do you need the bigger mower?
We do need a bigger mower. I mean, the bigger mower, of course, would be
Right,
nice.
because one
That was the reason,
that was
the reason we
right.
wanted the bigger mower. is
Because I
to
had
cover
talked
some
to Bridget one time when you were doing that, and I said,
Yeah.
are we getting a big enough, wide enough mower when they go out and mow that you're not having to take 15 swaths instead of 10, you know?
Sorry to get off this, but I will question it.
And if we have, if they allow us to switch out and it's within our budget, there shouldn't be an issue.
So I thought we had enough money to go a little more.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean,
Well, but the first quote they gave us was on this exact tractor and the bigger brush mower. What ended up happening is we paid less because we got the smaller brush mower. So
we
what we
might-
budgeted in was for this tractor and the bigger mower. That's gonna be the problem. I mean, it's gonna depend on how much extra the next set.
But, see, my understanding, since we've been doing this, that if we need the bigger tractor, that we can amend our contract, our budget, and get what we need, because we do have the money to buy a little bit bigger tractor. And not that I'm trying to spend money that we don't have, but I think that if the bigger tractor would be better, so we don't have to, you know, you're.
So what did you go from, what size mower to what size?
We went
You
from,
do a 15?
no, it was just an 8. We were supposed to have an 8. And this is a 7. I mean, it wasn't a big difference, but I mean,
What's enough?
yeah, there is a difference.
12.5%.
Yeah.
So,
Well, so do we need to look into that? And do you want to,
That's
Greg, would you
fine.
like to go back out there and talk to him since you did talk to
I
him?
mean, that was probably my mistake, because I'm like, hey, we need a mower that our tractor can run, was my whole thing.
Right.
I didn't want to buy the brush mower we ordered and then not be able to use it.
But you also didn't know that Greg had
Right.
called and asked him if that was gonna be enough
Right.
tractor to pull that mower.
I'll check into that.
If we're able to switch out, we can make it happen. It's gonna be just a coordination between them and us. Because right now, we haven't paid for it. We haven't, we told them we needed the money back, but there is money back. We have, to my knowledge, right now, we have not issued that check out.
No, we haven't, because I just talked to Shelley today.
Okay.
It wasn't
Yeah.
here. It is
Yeah.
here, yes, we have it.
Okay, so you had an 8-foot mower.
And we ordered an 8.
Or ordered an 8, okay,
Yes.
so everything's new. I mean, the 8 was gonna be a new, and then they got
Yes.
ready to a 7.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So the 7-foot hadn't been used already at all?
No, I think we moved it once.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's saying it's
Yeah.
All right, so do I have a motion to approve the?
Make a motion to approve.
Roll call, Rachel,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Troy.
Alrighty, next on the agenda is the strategic plan, and Mr. Dunham kind of wants to forward on this.
Now, what this is, it's with Hornbeck and Black Architects. I know Myers Engineering is here. The main reason Myers Engineering is written on this plat that you got is because they supplied the initial documents to Hornbeck and Black.
Okay. Design.
Yeah, because they did the initial layout of the property. So they provided that to them. Our contract would be with Hornbeck and Black. If this is something, and this is being presented right now as a proposal, we've talked about a strategic plan. As my understanding was when I met with the architects, this is something like what we were kind of looking for. If this is something the way he put stuff in here based on old minutes that I had that we said we were, what we wanted to do, what may have been minutes in someplace else, whether it might have been talked about at one meeting or several, but it was talked about to some degree. And I said, okay, just take all that and put it in there as best you can and kind of tell me what you think. And then if you think of anything else that you think maybe kind of cool and it fits in there, put it in there, just so that we can have something to look at and have something to discuss. If this is something we would look, this is the way you're wanting to look at it. Our next step would be to, if Hornbeck and Black is something you would like to try to work with, we will initiate a contract with them. They are on staff with the city to do other work, so it's not like we have to go out for bids on it or anything.
Do you have any places that they've actually done work at, that you could go see a finished product?
He did tell me, I think he's done some work at OU and in Norman. I'd have to get those references to be for sure. We talked about it, I talked to him about that day, a lot of other things too. And I just don't remember what parks he may have. I think he did some work even over at the Woodward Park. Because we talked about that.
I'd like to see something else, just
You know,
have some comparables. I don't want to just go with one thing and not. expect
well, I mean,
anything else.
when you say that, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, do we have any, has anybody else stepped up to provide something of this nature?
We've had one, this is the only document that's presented to the whole board. We did meet with another architectural group out of,
The one that actually did, Kids Inc., I believe, is who we met with.
yeah, I can't think of where they're out of right now. But we have met with one other. There was a third one that we were talking to, but we haven't ever been able to even come down and get with us. So there's only been two we've actually been able to get down and meet with us.
Okay.
When you say us, is that the?
We had a.
The other one met with the committee, this one just met with Mr. Dunn.
Yeah, just met with me because I was in Oklahoma City meeting with him on other issues. And I told him, give me some ideas. But this is what I was thinking we were going for.
Well, I guess I'm thinking of this, but most of this is what we have. I mean, except like the amphitheater and the stuff off the, I mean, the three ball fields. What I'm talking about seeing is what a finished product, I guess, would look like. I mean, you know, what kind of, well, what kind, when you drive up, what's it going to, what are we going to do for cover over our softball fields? And the reason I'm saying that is because I would like to eventually take this plan and then go and say, here's what our softball fields are going to look like, and maybe approach another entity to see if we can't get some money and go, okay, for this, if this is what's going to look like when we drive up, like when you drive into Woodward, you see what their park looks like. I'm talking about seating, covers for the bleachers, what the ballpark looks like, and then to take that so we could go maybe to another entity and say, hey, we have this much money, could you match some money and could we finish the softball areas? So the covers would be over, the bleachers would be, all the bleachers would be set. That's what I want.
This is just an idea to start some dialogue in here. This would not be the finished product. This is not the finished product. This is just something to get started with some dialogue.
But this is a placement, I mean, where you need
The finished product
to give you
is
what it looks like.
the finished product is a plan that we can actually each plan to say, okay, we want to do, I don't know, we want to do these new ball fields over here in this corner. What's it going to take to do it?
But I think in some of our discussion, we had talked about that we don't need baseball fields. We talked about that we might want like a football area. I mean, you know.
And that's fine, but okay, let's say take the new baseball fields out, put football fields over there. I don't care. What does it do? What is required to get them in? What else is needed?
Mm-hmm.
What about water? That's the type of plan that we would eventually have.
Right.
What kind of sod goes on it? What kind of seating goes around it? What kind of sidewalks need to be around it? What kind of landscaping needs to be around it? That's the finished product. This is just an idea to get the dialogue started.
Well, I guess before I approve something like this, I'd like to talk to the strategic planning committee because we didn't really see this before and see what our thoughts are with that group. If this is where we want to go or if we want to proceed on to any further.
And that's fine.
I guess I felt all of a sudden we were going to check with a couple other places and all of a sudden we've got a plan in front of us. I guess I'm just like going, okay. You know, I told you this when I talked to you. Then I'm like, okay, what's the company? And when I talked to you, we didn't know the company's name. And so my question is, well, all of a sudden, do we have something thrown in front of us when we've I mean, and I'm not saying it's wrong, we're getting a start.
I'm not saying,
But I question
I've got something here to start the dialogue with. I'm not saying we need to, if you want more information on this company, I can get him down here. But, I mean, I'm telling you, this is kind of what I talked to him about to give us some information to start with the dialogue.
Right.
If we want more information, I can have him down here and we can have a meeting just like we did with the other guy.
Which just prolongs it, so I understand that too.
Yeah.
Can you get him to give you, like, you said some other things that he's done?
Yes.
Let's see some photographs, artist renderings, whatever, of other products to see aesthetically what it looks like. Because the artist rendering, I mean, this is,
Yeah.
I mean, this is looking down from above. This is not an artist rendering of what anything looks like.
Right.
You know, and if we want to know what he thinks it should look like, and because that's what you're saying, you're worried about how it looks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have to start here. I mean, you got to start with, okay, what are we putting?
Right.
And then, okay, now, how can we make it look nice? Because
But I mean, I'd like to see some places, that's the reason the first question was, what's some other places that he has actually done, so we can see.
I'm sure that they have photographs or artist renderings.
I'm sure he's got some.
Before I just
he's
say
got
what's
a-
using.
And that's fine, but before I went too far down this road, if this is not what you had in mind at all, then
No, I
we
mean,
need
if
to scrap this and go, I need to get a better understanding of what we had in mind.
No, I
There's
think,
some things on here that I like, there's some things on here that I think might not be conducive for
And like I said,
for
this
us,
is-
you
yeah,
know,
and
but again, I understand, you know, we have to start somewhere. But I'm kind of with Michelle, I don't want to approve anything right now, I need more information and,
Well, this
but
is-
we have to start the
This is
dialogue.
more to
I
see if we
understand
want
that
to
too.
continue discussions with these people.
Yeah.
This is instead of approving something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well, this is the first one that's actually taking the time to present something like this to us,
right.
instead of just showing us what they have done, instead of taking what
right.
we have to work with and saying,
Right.
okay, this is a layout we could
But I
do.
don't know that the other company was given our stuff like that. He was just asked to come present to us.
and he was getting everything established.
And asked to present us a layout like that.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
Yeah,
one
he
thing.
came down with
This
all
guy
that
actually did a little work.
Okay.
I like the empathy.
Yeah, the interior is nice.
I like that the walking trail goes completely around.
I do too.
Right.
I have concerns with the splash pad just because of our location, you know, and all of the, I just think
And
that's
I-
gonna be a
And
nightmare.
the aquatic center, period.
I think the only thing with the splash pad that it would be nice for is when you have these games and the tournaments and you have
Well,
all
sure.
those ball teams out here.
Yeah.
There's something for those other little kids to go do. I could see that being a benefit. I mean, there's gonna be liabilities when you put that benefit in, but, you know, I think,
The
Well, the
cleanliness.
skate park is a
Right.
liability, and this whole thing, that skate park is the biggest liability on that paper.
Mm.
no, I agree if this is a start.
And something like the skate park, though, you put up enough signs as far as responsibility. Is that something you can get around?
There's a lot of communities that have skate parks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have to contact them and see what kind of policies do they have, what kind of signs do they have.
Yeah.
There's a lot of communities that have it. You know, there's a lot of communities that have this splash. Not any of this is falling in one.
Sure.
I told him, I said, here's the minutes, here's everything that's ever been talked about.
It's a
And
start, and that's a
throw
good
some
thing.
stuff in it that you
Sure.
think's cool,
Yeah.
that you've done someplace else.
I guess my big thing is probably the artist rendering would be the thing. And maybe, you know, maybe it's in the works, but I just know that if you want to go ask for money for some groups around here that have some money that they could maybe provide, it's hard to do that without having
Well,
what you want. You know, and I just think that would be, that's the main reason I want to get something, so then maybe we could finish the whole softball fields and we could start working on something else if we spent $200,000 and got $400,000 from an entity or $200,000 from another entity.
And this, if, you know, and I'm gonna talk about him because I did talk to him about a artist rendering. It's not in the works because for that to be in the works, we've got to kind of have hired him, and we've got to have, and we can get what he's done as a portfolio. That's
Yeah,
different
maybe
than,
yeah.
that's different than
That's
an
what I
artist
asked for the
rendering their art
examples, right.
property.
Well, you can't
But-
go to artist rendering until you've hired him, I understand
Right.
that, but you can see what he's done somewhere, so
And if
you
it gets down to it, he can do a 3D of it. You know, he can have a 3D model out here of it, of what it would be. So what do we want to spend on?
Well, maybe that's the first step, is getting him down there with his portfolio in
Yeah.
front of the strategic planning
That would-
committee.
or, yeah,
I mean,
that
that
would-
might be a good place to start,
Right.
you know, so.
And that would be fine, and like I said, I'm just here to, you know, if you like what you see, I'll get him down here and we can have more dialogue with
There's some things I like. There's some things
you. You know, obviously there's stuff on here I don't think we probably want to mess with, but I don't know that we've
It's
ever
very
talked about.
diverse, this is very diverse.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever talked about expansion of this building, and that's here. You know, I don't know that we've ever talked, we've talked, I know in minutes it's been talked about a swimming pool out there. I don't know if that's even we want. We got a swimming pool downtown.
We're gonna have to be strategic.
Keep lifeguards there.
Yeah.
You know,
why do you want another?
It's all
right, you know,
The audio not here.
you know, the skate park that's been talked about, is it something that we want? You know, these new ball fields over here, that's what's on the original plans, but if we want to do something different, that's fine too. Yeah. The amphitheater is just something he said, I've done that someplace else, and it was cool.
That's my first thought.
Where would the discussion go from this point? Where does the discussion go as to what stuff we want? Does that the strategic planning committee discuss that amongst each other to decide this is what we would like on the next rendering?
Well, I think there's two places we go from here. One, if we want to get him down to see his actual work, we'll get him down here, but as a side discussion, with this in mind, we need to be deciding, what is it we want here? So that when he gets here, and we get whoever we get hired, we can say, here's what we want. So that they can start laying it out and giving us the plan, the infrastructure plan, the whole 9 yards, to, you know, get the artist rendering and all that, so they can get that done. But we've got to be, at some point, we've got to be able to tell them, this is what we want, this is what we don't. So I think there's two discussions that have to happen. One one to decide on if we want to hire this architect or any architect, and another to decide what we want on the park.
Well, I guess in my concerns with this and having our minutes, I know we've talked about a Frisbee golf course. I don't see that on here. I know we've talked about in our minutes a Little League football field, and I know they're doing all the stuff at the high school, so that's probably not something we need because they're working on all that building and all that stuff there, but still for an area to play Little League football games so people don't have to go down the hill. And so I don't see that on here. One of Arden's famous things was the dog park. Not that we all agree that had to be, but I don't see that on here. So I mean, there are some things that came out of we did a survey, which wasn't very many people, less than 100 people did it, less than 50. But we had quite a few things on there, and several of those things I don't see on this map. And so those are my concerns, and that's the reason I was like, my opinion is see what some of the finished products of this guide are, and then from there, strategic planning committee meet and decide if this is where we want to go or if we still want to see further. And I know that we put it off, but I also know that I don't want to just go with something at the whim. So,
That's something what I was suggesting.
Of course, I can know that, I never thought about it.
yeah, and that's,
Like I was saying, you know, having a place out here to have payments and stuff would actually be cool. Except we don't want the stage on the northwest.
No, we don't at all. That would be an audio nightmare for any
It
performer.
needs to be on the south because the winds virtually primarily out of the south, all the time.
Like today,
Yeah.
Just a little?
and yesterday, and before.
Yeah.
Well, it's like any tree and panhandle, points where you don't need a compass. We're not that far off on that here, every tree points.
So I guess, what's everybody's suggestion? Get maybe some,
Let's get some more information.
I'll call him, tell him we are interested in talking to him some more. I'll get him down here to make a little presentation of his work.
Where were they from?
He's in, Edmond.
all right, director's report?
Don't really have a lot to report. Soccer's up and going with approximately about close to 200 kids. We did have a soccer camp this last Saturday. It was put on by the Northwestern soccer coach and soccer players. It was wonderful. It was free to the kids, and they also offered a coaches clinic. Not very many coaches showed up, but it was all right. We'll get them next time. But I think everybody really enjoyed it, and we're going to plan on doing that again in the spring. The soccer coach is really eager to be involved and try to help the kids and work with the community. So that's going good. But really not all I have. Anybody have anything for me?
I like the road,
Looks good. Yeah, they just finished,
Nice.
they completed it this
Very
morning.
nice.
where they do the parking lot.
And they're gonna come out and, actually, they're gonna spread some more of that rock out. They're gonna come back out and spread some of that out.
All that rock is out there is going to spread over the parking lot and that mainly.
On that flat.
You mean?
Well, let's get some curbs in first, and then let's talk about, blacktop, and then that way we've got something to hold it there.
Okay, so you
I'm
don't
for that.
I wish they could put down the tar and just chat and then put just something over it to settle it down. So it's-
Well,
And to hold it in place,
I don't think anybody's been.
especially when they do my drive again or my road again.
I mean, one of the things that they'll
Scoop
do.
up and carry that out of there because it comes down the pipe.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the things that they'll do is they're gonna let this, let people drive over it, then they'll come back in and sweep up any excess that's out here on the road, to get the excess off. It are the plans.
All righty, Mr. Dunham, do you have anything else?
No, I think that's all that I got at this time.
Any new business? Remarks, inquiry by board members?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Have a second? Thank you all for coming out.
That's forward, right?
Wasn't sure what I guess Rachel Myers.
And it's got.
Move, second, move, second, move, second.
Yeah. At first, she had it.